Hi there, my name is Lydia, and I am boring. And I'm just kidding. But I think that the things that I'm interested in are considered boring to a lot of people, and why that's okay, and why you might be a part of this group too. This group of boring people. And it's great to embrace that and accept that. And I've learned to embrace and accept that over the past few years. But some of my hobbies include sitting in silence and thinking. That's one of them. That's probably maybe the most boring one. I'll just say that, okay? Sitting in silence and thinking. I could easily stare out the window and look at the clouds for a very long time. Um, yeah. Really, if I sit outside, I can just observe nature or people watch. Maybe all day. Maybe all day. Which might be the most boring to some people. I also enjoy bird watching, genuinely. And I love those memes that talk about how, like, wow, bird watching really comes at you fast. Because, like, it is funny how, like, when you're a kid, you're like, bird watching? Like, why would I ever want to be a bird watcher? Like, why are grandparents so obsessed with bird watching? And then you're an adult and you're like, wait, is that a common merganser? Is that a goldfinch? What is that? It's so real. It's so real. If I ever see a bird that I don't recognize, I'm like, what is this? What is this bird? Looks like this. I love bird sounds and being like, okay, what bird is this, and connecting it to that bird. So there is that. I've also loved or been very connected to ducks within the past like 5 years, and I love watching a good duck, you know. Um I also could try like a new fruit or vegetable and be fully enthralled. Like, this is everything to me, and just describing the notes and the layers of the notes. Um but that applies to a lot of different foods. That applies to a lot of different foods. I really like the whole process of trying something and describing it. So wait, I'm just kidding. So I also enjoy reading as an adult. I really wasn't sure that that was going to happen. When I was a kid, I was like, yeah, it'd be probably cool to be a reader, but like, I don't really care for reading now, so why will I be when I'm an adult? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I wasn't really a big reader as a kid. I liked some books, but I just wasn't. And so as an adult, I've been into reading. And that's interesting. I mean, that's kind of fascinating, isn't it? Like, how some people are just, they're fascinated by books and some people aren't. And I don't know. Maybe that makes me boring. Maybe. By some. What else? What else makes me boring? I love to train my dog, but maybe that isn't too boring. I find that so fun, having that quality time with her. Let me think about the other things that I was going to say. Hiking is my favorite pastime of all. And I like, well, I think hiking for exercise is a lot of fun too, but I really like to hike with intention so I can observe the things around me, especially moss. I love moss. Well, as you can tell by my channel name, right? In one of my previous videos, I just mentioned Gathering Moss, which is a book, and I do really like this book. So there is that. I like to really, like on a hike, I like to really get up close to the moss, really kneel down and observe it, and maybe give it a little touch, compare it to the other moss around it, that type of thing. Rock hunting. Oh, listen, you take me to a beach. I will not bring a book to the beach. Maybe when I'm older, I'll find enjoyment in that, but I don't take a book to the beach. I'm pretty boring at the beach. I sit and I stare at the water and play with the sand a little bit. And I love to make little art with the rocks and collect rocks. Rocks, if it's a rocky beach, dude, some people prefer sandy beaches, which there is an appeal to that too. It's soft, it's great. But a good rocky beach, dude, I'll spend so long, hours upon hours, just looking for rocks. And every time I go there, for the most part, I'm like, I'm probably not gonna find any rocks today. I'm just gonna look at the water. Maybe I'll make some art with the rocks. But for the most part, I'm probably not gonna take any home. I got enough. But then it hits you. It hits you. You start looking at them real close, and you're like, I gotta keep this forever because this is so special to me. Anyway, so I've got a lot of rocks at home. I really do. I've got a big rock collection. And I love talking about the rocks with whoever I'm with. But I love making little rock art, especially if it's like a beach that has both sand and rocks. I can do this on a completely rocky beach too, but I love making them like kind of fit together in a certain way. Creating little mandalas, and I like doing that on a sandy beach too, making little art, little squiggly abstract art. It's so relaxing. And maybe some people think that's so boring. I don't know. Yeah. When I was homeless a couple months ago, I stayed for a little while with this woman who it wasn't the greatest time, so I'm not really going to get into that. But it is interesting because she like made this sort of comment like, well, I'm not into boring stuff like you guys. And my mom is very similar to me. She likes a lot of the similar hobbies that I do. Like she loves nature and all of that. And like I just remember being like, what? Like, what do you mean, like boring stuff like we do? But I guess to some people that is boring. I'm not a big movie person or music person because sometimes movies and music are just so much, so loud, so intense, so sad. I guess it's the aspect of storytelling, right? But it just feels like so much for all of my senses. And so maybe I do kind of crave maybe the slower things of life. Actually, I know I crave the slower things of life. And maybe that's not appealing to some people, but I'm here to say that doesn't matter. I remember this one instance where we were all watching Jonah Jinton video together. And if you don't know who that is, you really should look up her videos on YouTube because they are beautiful. Jonah Jinton, I don't know how to spell her last name, but her videos are just beautiful. She lives in Sweden and she just makes the most beautiful art, the most beautiful videos. It's very inspiring. And she showcases a lot of the slowness of life, but the beauty around her. And I love it. I love it so much. And we were all watching and I could just tell that the lady we were staying with was extremely bored and just really had such a hard time keeping her eyes on the screen. And I feel so bad for saying that because I don't want to like shade. I don't mean that to sound shady towards Jonah because I don't find her videos boring in the slightest. I think they are this incredible adventure and it's some of the most beautiful like cinematography on YouTube, truly. Like I love her videos. And they really get you into that peaceful headspace, right? But she just seemed so bored and like, okay, like who cares? And like she just didn't even understand or relate to some of the things that Jonah was talking about. And it's like, oh, like okay, like that's okay that she doesn't understand or relate or enjoy this, but it made me almost like appreciate the fact that I lead this boring life by some, because it's not for everybody. The boring life that I lead is not a life that should be appreciated by everybody, right? everybody has this own unique individual way of viewing life. And what we see out here that we find value in is so unique from another person. And it's like I didn't really realize that until that moment when I was watching that video with that lady we stayed with, because I just I don't know. I think in my head I thought like, well, everybody kind of likes this, right? I mean, like, and when she said that we were boring, I was kind of like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, I was a little bit like offended in a way, like not super offended, but like a little bit like, okay, yeah, right. You know, like, what do you mean by that? But then I started to appreciate it. Like, yeah, I watch Jonah's videos, and every single time, like, I'm amazed by them. And some people might watch them and not care about any of that stuff. But that's okay. And that's okay that I make the videos that I make. Some people might think this is incredibly boring to talk about. But some people might be very enthralled. Some people, I don't know. And it just kind of reminded me to continue on the path that I'm on and not really worry so much about the path that everybody else is on. Because my boring life is so valuable to me. Like, I don't know why I am the way that I am, but I'm appreciative, I guess, that I am. That I do take the time to kneel down and stare at the moss and think about the complexities and just be so amazed that it looks like a little world, whereas maybe some other people find other aspects of life that are so wild to me to comprehend. They find that interesting, and that's what they absorb to gain energy. Like, the fact that I gain energy and inspiration from moss might be somebody else's roller coaster. I don't know. But I don't know. It was kind of a little bit groundbreaking for me, because I thought, well, surely everybody in the world would enjoy a Jonah Jinton video, but only a certain demographic, right? And I'm one of them. Are you one of them? And that's okay. And that's okay. I'm boring and I'm proud.